Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Oh, whoops, we got feedback. Okay. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hey, Bishon in a box. We got Splatoon 3 music going for you, I guess. Okay. All right, so let me get. We are running late. Apologies, big apologies. Yeah, I guess Bishona in a box, that is Splatoon 3 gameplay on a CRT TV, which is pretty cool. So yeah, welcome in everyone. My name is Angelina Tucci. We got a great guest coming on today. His name is Aram. Ayra. Been working hard to get him on the stream, and it finally worked out. Today is the day. Let me get Zoom open up. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well in chat. I sure am. It's another good day. First stream of the week. And like I said, we have a good one lined up here. Okay, I'm going to open up the room just so I need to start my OBS camera. And then I need to, before do that, we'll just open that up. Okay. Close that. Perfect. Thank you, chat, for bearing with me. Okay. Now, let me quickly little film a quick little Instagram thing. Oh. Okay. Hold on. We got this. Happy Tuesday, everyone. We got Aram Ayra on the stream today at 10 a.m. Fuck. Let me do that again. All right. Happy Tuesday, everyone. We got another Riverside City Council candidate on the stream today for District 2, Aram Ayra. It will be live on the stream today. We're going to interview him right now. Be sure to hop in. And we are also going to be talking about some other IE news. Specifically, there was a fun Reddit post that was going around yesterday in the IE subreddit where everyone was talking about the best coffee shops in the IE. So we're going to be going over that as well. So be sure to not miss it. Click the link below to hop in and watch the video now. All right, there you go. You guys got the behind the scene, and y'all see I got a new freaking phone case. Okay. Let's see. All right, put that right there. Bashona in a box said, "We got this. Yay, new phone case." Live now. Say hop in for a great interview. Whoops, I spelled interview wrong. Hop in for a great interview. And then we will do at Ayra for Riverside. Finally on stream. Do not miss it. Okay. All right. We are. Now I just need to get the little link and share. Oh, yes. For everyone watching, be sure to like the video. It helps me out. It gets the video into other people's feeds, which is great. So hit that like button. Subscribe if you are not already subscribed. Click. Okay. Cool. And done. All right. So now we are just waiting for Mr. Ayra to come into the stream. Let me pull up his Instagram so that way we could at least look at it. AYR. Okay. So homie has some pretty cool videos, specifically this one. Let's watch it together.
For those of you who are chronically online, you've probably seen the series where Vic Mensa stands in front of an orange tree and talks about different issues and shares his wisdom on things going on in the world right now. Vic Mensa was one of the first artists I saw at UC Riverside when I was a freshman here, and with that connection, I wanted to bring it full circle and thought that Riverside deserved its very own Orange Tree series. I want to start this series off by talking about the two different visions that have guided Riverside from the very beginning. You have the vision of Frank Miller, who is the keeper of the Mission Inn and was focused on growth and development of Riverside at all costs. And then you have the vision of John W. North, who was a lawyer, anti-slavery abolitionist, and the founder of Riverside, who believed that the city should stand for something and strive towards progress in all that it does. To me, Riverside has always been caught between these two different visions. The question is not whether we should grow, it's about who we're growing for.
Yeah.
I love Riverside to celebrate things that are great about it. And I also love Riverside enough to criticize the parts that can be better. And that's what I'm hoping that the series can be about. Over the rest of the election cycle, I want to stand here with you and talk about the issues that affect our city and what we could potentially do to solve them. I'll probably eat a couple of oranges along the way. And if that sounds like something you would actually be interested in watching, please let me know in the comments below. For me, pride isn't measured by how loudly we cheer for Riverside. It's measured by how hard we're willing to work to make it better.
Oh my God. You just ate it like an apple,
For
brother.
those of you who are chronically online.
You just ate it like an apple. That's cool. Okay. Let's see a little bit more while we wait for him. Oh wait, we already saw that.
I moved to Riverside 12 years ago to go to school at UCR. Like many students, I thought I'd leave after graduation, but I didn't. I stayed, I built my life here, and I've seen the city get harder to afford every single year.
Riverside.
Hundreds of homes here in Riverside County are set to hit the auction block.
It seems like everything is getting worse.
For as long as I can remember, they've said that Riverside is on the cusp of greatness. But what good is greatness if it doesn't serve everyone? City Hall is disconnected from its residents, and the affordability crisis is out of control. Riversiders are facing rising rent and housing costs. There's no real relief for childcare, and working people are being priced out of the city that they love. For years, warehouse developers and industrial interests have benefited from Riverside's growth, while working families have absorbed
warehouse developers
all the costs.
for sure.
We can't keep asking working families to carry that burden. A city council member can tackle these issues, and that's exactly why I'm running for public office. I'll fight to build more affordable housing. I'll lower the cost of rent and utilities and make childcare more accessible for our working families. And I'll make sure that future growth actually benefits our residents with real investments in our infrastructure, neighborhoods, and quality of life. Life in the city shouldn't be so hard, but too often our elected officials are listening to their donors and not to you. I'm running for every resident that still believes in the promise of Riverside, because local government should make your life easier, not harder. What kind of future are we trying to build here? A future where people can afford to stay and raise their families without falling behind? Or one where the people who built this city can no longer afford to live here? My name is Aram Ayra. I'm running for Riverside City Council Ward 2 in the June primary. It's time to build a Riverside that we can afford. Let's build it together.
Sweet. That's
I moved
pretty
to
good.
Riverside.
I want to know where he's from, so we're going to be sure to ask him if he's not a Riverside native. He only moved here to go to college. That's pretty interesting, but yeah, sorry. I just discovered that because of my new phone case, it doesn't fit in my fancy IKEA little desk phone holder. Like the IKEA phone holder has two little slots, you know, for your naked phone and then for a phone with the case. But it does not fit, brother. It does not fit. Does not fit. I'm so sad. Okay, so we're just gonna have to put the phone away. But yeah, so Aram seems pretty interesting. I think he said he was a city commissioner before. So we'll be sure to ask him about his experience there. Um, but yeah,
Childcare costs are forcing families in Riverside to choose between their jobs and their kids. Right now in Riverside, the average cost of childcare is between $900 to $1,400 per
that's
month,
crazy.
depending on
That's
the
rent.
facility and the child's age. It could be even more expensive for infant care. After rent, childcare is one of the biggest expenses that families face. Because of this, families are being forced to make really difficult choices, whether it's relying on extended family for childcare, leaving their jobs, or even
Yep.
moving out of Riverside to find something more affordable. And for many, the only option left is going into debt just to stay afloat. This
Yep.
is what the affordability crisis looks like in Riverside. Riversiders need real relief. Expanding access to childcare and bringing costs down will be a priority for me when I take office. We can fast track new centers, cut permitting fees, and speed up approvals so childcare providers can expand. We can use city dollars to match state and federal funding to offer real support to our low and middle income families. And we can turn city-owned
Aram is
property into
in.
childcare hubs, especially in neighborhoods.
Let's mute that. Hey there, Aram. Hopefully you can hear me. Pretty good, pretty good. How about yourself? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let me make sure the chat can hear you, which I don't think they can, but that's on me because I'm a boomer. We were just looking at your Instagram videos, and they are very, very well put together. I'm jealous.
Thank you. I have an incredible team, so I can't really take too much credit for that, but
All right.
they just tell me where to walk and where to talk, and that's what I do. So and they do the rest.
That's awesome. No, I respect that. Okay. So welcome in, Aram Ayra. I'm saying your name correctly, right? I want to make sure I'm not getting it wrong.
Yes, thank you. I've been called worse, so no, thank you
Okay.
for that.
Yeah. No, I always try to make sure. Shout out to my friend Qasim in Chicago. He's a Palestinian, and when people did not know how to say his name at all until I think there was a famous guy who got killed by our president who had the same name, and finally people knew how to say his name, but it was always Qasim or Kasim, and I'm like, no, his name is Qasim, you know.
Awesome.
But
Yeah.
anyway, sorry, that's just me sidetracking there. Welcome in. I appreciate you coming here, taking the time. It felt like it's been a while to try to get you on here, and I was reaching out to everyone, being like, "Hey, can you tell Aram to come on my stream?" So, but thank you. So,
No, of course.
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? First things first. I know you're in Riverside. You're running for Riverside City Council. But tell us a little bit about where you came from, and if you're not a native to the Inland Empire, why are you staying here in the Inland Empire? What makes Riverside the place for you?
Yeah, for sure. So, you want me to, I guess I'll start kind of from the beginning,
However
right?
you'd like, yeah.
Because my journey is kind of a longer one to get here to Riverside. So I actually grew up, first of all, I guess, Aram Ayra, running for Riverside City Council Ward 2. Just got through our June primary. Happy to be in the top two heading to the November general election. For my background, kind of starts a little further out west. I grew up in LA County, near La Puente, in a small unincorporated area called Avocado Heights. Most people haven't heard of it, but it's right where the 60 and the 605 meet. I always tell folks, if you ever driven by that super large industrial Fry's Electronics, I
Oh
literally
yeah.
live across from there. So
Okay.
super cool community, pretty working class, a lot of equestrian. I always tell people I grew up watching guys ride by on horses and on cell phones, which was kind of like a weird juxtaposition, but incredible community, grew up there with my folks, and eventually moved out to Riverside to go to school here at UCR. I got
Cool.
accepted into a few different schools, but financially, UCR was the one that made the most sense for me. Combination of like different scholarships and thankfully financial aid. So I came out to Riverside, was a political science major at
Hell yeah,
UCR.
brother. Sorry, I'm
There
also a
you
political
go.
science
There you go.
major.
The few, the proud, yeah. I'm sure I think my parents really wanted me to go in a different direction, more career proof, right? But I was very passionate about politics. I had actually, um, gotten involved in politics out of a necessity almost at a pretty young
Mm.
age. Where I grew up was right across from the largest landfill in the United States, the Puente Hills landfill.
Yep, I was gonna say.
So, yeah, my dad, who was, a mentor and someone who I looked up to a lot, was someone who was very politically astute, but just was always like, that let the politicians do the politics stuff. But we had to get involved out of a necessity because we didn't grow up with a municipal government. We were a small unincorporated community. We weren't important enough for the state level folks and the county level folks to spend too much time there.
Yeah.
And the landfill was represented obviously by this mega corporation that could afford to bring 8 or 9 attorneys to each community meeting where folks were concerned about methane off gassing and stuff like that. So that was my first experience being like 8 or 9 years old, going to these community meetings and
Wow.
seeing the power that corporations have and how much they will use it and wield it against community members, and then also the power that community has when it is organized, even against such insurmountable odds, right? Thankfully, just to close kind of that chapter, by the time I was leaving to college, they were in the process of shutting the landfill down. And I believe to this day it's shut down officially, and they're now trying to build like this massive park on the territory and stuff. So thankfully a happy ending.
Yeah.
Um, I got to UCR, got super involved early on. I actually worked on my friend and I, we co-launched the first Bernie Sanders Club in the Inland Empire.
No way, you're
Highlanders for
coming right after my
Sanders.
heart, bro. Bernie's my man. But
We,
okay, sorry.
no, no, you're fine. I mean, for me, one of the biggest things about that campaign was healthcare. My family didn't get access to healthcare until 2012, really, in a stable format when Obamacare came on the scene.
Yeah.
So to have someone that explicitly talked to two things that were really important to me at the time, which was healthcare and also, tuition, it
Yeah.
was like, okay, finally a candidate that speaks to my everyday lived experience and core issues, right? At least economically, really core issues for me at the time. So got involved there, eventually got into student government at UCR, was a senator, got really involved with around tuition advocacy, around basic needs resources on campus, around making sure that students had a voice in discussions both on the campus level and also on the UC system level. I eventually served as student government president my senior year at UCR. And during that period, I got really involved with the community in Riverside because I was going to these different community events, neighborhood events, and other things and seeing like, hey, there's a real disconnect between the university and the city of Riverside.
Yeah.
And part of that is just by the nature of how the campus is, physically, geographically. Part of that is just decades of, I think, lack of vision for that bridge between the campus and the city.
Mm.
You have folks who have done great work on both ends to try to close that gap, but there's still so much. A lot of people call UCR kind of an island in the city of Riverside. And a
Interesting.
lot of students don't get to witness the beauty that is the city and the opportunities that is the city because they stay kind of in the campus bubble. So that was a huge thing for me, really getting involved. I had a lot of incredible mentors in different community groups, neighborhood groups, who really took me under their wing because I was the youngest guy in a lot of rooms by like 20, 30 years, if not
Mm.
more in many cases.
Yeah.
And they were like excited to have a young person who were there, like, why are you here? Like, why do you care so much? And that's really what got me connected to the city in the first place and made me really want to stay in Riverside. And I always tell that story is that so many of my good friends, and I don't blame them at all for this, but so many of my good friends left Riverside when they graduated because there was no opportunities. job
Yeah.
opportunities. There was the cost of housing, even though it was cheaper, the balance was not there with regards to the amenities. My friends were like, dude, I'd rather pay a few $100 extra a month, but at least be close to a nightlife scene,
Mm,
music, arts, culture, that kind of stuff. And we certainly have some of those things here, but again, just not in the depth that I think a lot of young professionals are looking for. And we've been working on that, but a lot of people just didn't see Riverside as a place of opportunity. For me, this is kind of the last frontier of opportunity in
mm,
California, if you can really put it like that. I think the whole Inland Empire, the Central Valley, that's the last part of California where the American dream, whatever that means nowadays, is still
yeah.
somewhat within reach, even though it's very rapidly disappearing too for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I got super involved in the community, was on the Riverside Neighborhood Partnership board for many years, for since I was like pretty much a college senior and going off into living in the community.
Mm-hmm.
I worked on a few different campaigns in the area. I got really deeply entrenched in community during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So when the pandemic hit, my friend and I, we actually launched the first mutual aid network in the Inland Empire in order to help, specifically initially to help students who were stranded on campus
Oh
when
my
campus
gosh,
shut
yeah.
down. We were, getting doing GoFundMe's to fundraise to get people home, tickets to get home,
Oh my
getting masks
gosh.
for people who had to stay for a few days. And honestly, Angeline, it was in crazy just seeing like how our institutions and systems, at least initially, had no clue what to do.
Yep. Yep.
They were just not sure how to serve people, how to make things happen. Things were shut down. It was a crazy time. So we stepped into the fold. We launched the Riverside Mutual Aid Network, did a lot of incredible work around food distribution for senior citizens. We actually secured a federal grant to build 26 free community pantries across the city of Riverside,
Wow.
many of which
Nice.
are still standing, yeah, to this day, which
Okay.
I'm super stoked about. Yeah, just did a lot of incredible work and pulled in so many great organizers and people that I still continue to work with to this day, who were uniquely invested in, how do we, outside of just elected government, how do we answer people's material needs? How do we deliver for working people? How do we ensure their material conditions are taken care of, right? And
Yeah.
how do we build that up into more advocacy down the line?
Yeah.
So, yeah, throughout that time, I worked for FEMA on crisis response for the pandemic. I also worked for Riverside County Public Health. So I really saw the impact of the pandemic firsthand. And I saw in many cases how our elected officials unfortunately dropped the ball on
Yeah.
serving and really protecting our communities. I saw how politicized things that should have never been politicized, like
Yeah.
science, facts, how those became negotiable, right?
Yeah,
And I
negotiable for
think
sure.
we all saw kind of that shift, both with the way the federal government was handling the situation and just generally how society approached these kind of issues, where the truth was no longer objective. The truth became kind of a subjective topic, and really unfortunate. I think that really polarized our discourse, and
Yeah.
especially finding solutions to problems that affect everybody, right? A lot of these issues were not only affecting certain race or class or gender. It was kind of affecting everybody in
Yeah.
some way. So yeah, since then, obviously, I've been involved in other ways. I actually ran for city council at the time in 2021
Oh
out of a
wow.
desire really to step up and serve and be someone that could deliver on some of the things that I saw were not happening, on hero pay for our frontline workers, on
I
a
forgot about
stronger
that.
public health
Yeah.
response. Yeah, yeah. And funny enough, one of the candidates I ran against at the time, the current council member, Clarissa Cervantes, I think we ran a great campaign. I was a first-time candidate though,
Mm-hmm.
much younger, not much younger, but significantly younger. And you don't know what you don't know, right? Politics
Yeah.
is so hostile to outsiders, to young people stepping in who don't have these strong connections or have some sort of legacy involvement or something like that. So anyways, we ran a solid campaign and so did my opponent. So did everyone really. It was actually a very positive campaign cycle. I think most of us were aligned on the fact that hey, something needs to be done drastically to
Yeah.
help people right now. And I'm proud to share the person I ran against last time was actually supporting me this time, and has endorsed me. You know, Clarissa Cervantes. We maintained a good working relationship over the years, and actually ended up collaborating on a few things when I served on the Human Relations Commission.
Hmm.
Um,
What is the Human Relations Commission? Is it like HR or uh yeah,
that's
sorry.
what most people. That's what most people think. Yeah. No, and funny enough, and when I first joined, I was like, oh God, I ended up on an HR board.
Yeah.
No, human relations, it actually worked to address like equal access
Ah.
opportunities in the city, justice initiatives, working around, helping disadvantaged communities in the city of Riverside, specifically with like access to government resources, access to opportunities in the city of Riverside. Incredible commission. I work with so many awesome people from different faith-based groups, different nonprofits, different community groups on that board. During that time, I actually, one of my proud achievements there was I worked for almost 2 years to get like this grant program launched to help nonprofits, community groups, and others who were doing the work
Mm-hmm.
that aligned with the Human Relations Commission mission, but maybe they were flying under the radar. They were not necessarily a recognized a group that the city normally worked with. So with that, we were able to support incredible initiatives like the Riverside Area Rape Crisis Center, like getting them resources to run some of their programming. A really cool one was Laundry Love. They're a organization that does a monthly laundry service for unsheltered folks
Oh, that's
who want to be
beautiful.
able to come do their laundry. Yeah, I always say like these opportunities to work on these things are as fulfilling as they are just informational for me. You really don't know your city until you roll up your sleeves and get involved in that way. And the sad thing is there was probably another several dozen of these types of groups that we didn't get to work with just by nature of the capacity that we had that are doing this kind of incredible work that is filling the gaps, that is kind of helping that last mile solution for folks, and really getting involved in a way that reaches people directly. So just shout out to all of those different groups, just, you know,
Yeah.
operating in the shadows, not for thank yous, not for credit, not for any kind of awards or trophies, but to just genuinely give back in that way.
Yeah, Riverside
And yeah,
seems like one of the one sorry to cut you off. Riverside seems
no, no,
like
no, yeah, please.
one of the best places, or I should say one of the most proactive places is in terms of like mutual aid and I can tell that like neighbors really care about their neighbors there, right? Not to brag, but I live in the city of Rancho Cucamonga, where I
Oh,
also grew
nice.
up
Okay.
with people on horses and on their cell phones. So yeah,
There you
it
go.
is a
Yeah.
very it's almost like wow, this is not how the rest of the world is, but it is my world, and you think it is. That's the world it is. So sorry, sidetrack.
No, no,
But
no, for sure.
yeah, it's
And shout out Rancho. I know you guys are having a very interesting kind of time in your politics as well of the city looking at sort of, from my understanding as an outside observer, right? Kind of preserving what makes Rancho special right now and moving into this larger kind of more developed future as well. So I
yeah.
can only imagine just seeing from like the Facebook posts and some of the Inland Empire groups, like how interesting that conversation is. So
I know. I don't really know how to feel about it, and maybe Riverside can give us like a little bit of future knowledge, right? Because one of the things about Riverside is there are areas that it's like small town, right? But then there's also large downtown area. So you have best of both worlds with a lot of mixed in between.
mhm.
Here in Rancho, my whole life people have been wanting to keep it small town, which I mean I don't disagree with. But it recently I think because of the push for more affordable housing, which we have to talk about that for sure.
Sure.
The like mixed like the accessory dwelling units, the ADUs, the different type of
Oh yeah.
smaller housing. It's going crazy, and I don't know if it's making people like freak out that the population is going to grow, or I don't know, but it's very interesting to see people. Obviously there's a need for more housing, there's a need for affordable housing, but there's also a push to just keep things the way that they are, and I don't know, I'm conflicted on that. But tell me how Riverside is handling it, since you guys are already there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I've always said about Riverside, we love calling ourselves kind of the world's biggest small town. We are almost 330,000 people now, population wise. But I think one of the dynamic or sort of the dynamic we're looking at is that we have grown tremendously, especially in the last couple of decades. We're still approaching things with sort of a small town mentality when we have big city problems.
Yeah,
We
that's
have problems that are no longer something that are just local issues. I love and appreciate the small town atmosphere that we have. I think that's part of what drew me to the city in the first place and why I've lived here for over 12 years now, is because, like you said, we have an incredibly developed neighborhood system. We have 26, 28 now, I guess, distinct neighborhood groups, neighborhoods and neighborhood groups in the city of Riverside. People take pride in almost living in their neighborhood as opposed to, they'll like identify more with their neighborhood sometimes than with the city of Riverside itself.
yeah,
And that's cool. We have like really developed neighborhood groups. We have a really strong civic infrastructure that I think is um, not as prevalent maybe in some other cities or just hasn't gotten quite to that point. And a lot of that I think was because of real meaningful investment, at least initially, by the city of Riverside itself too. Um, you know, Providing kind of the resources and the infrastructure for these neighborhood groups to grow and strengthen into real core parts of the community. I think over the years that investment has dropped off. The
mm,
role of these neighborhood groups has unfortunately shifted. Um, and a lot of, especially now in the last couple of years, last 2 to 3 years, a lot of residents feel shut out of the process of decision making here in the city.
yeah,
um, so that's something we're definitely navigating on multiple different fronts. And we have a lot of big issues that we're looking at too, affordable housing certainly, but also the continued growth and impact of logistics. We now have, I think, coming down the pipeline, discussions about AI and potential data centers in the city, which has been an explosive concept right across the Inland Empire, and rightfully so, because a lot of
yeah,
these projects obviously come with significant impacts on the communities that they're brought into, and not enough safeguards or kind of mitigation efforts to offset some of that. We're seeing sort of other issues that, you have kind of a council in the last few years that got elected, in the last couple of years, that got elected, that has focused a lot on, this kind of what they call like back to basics, right? Which
mm,
is important. The
mm-hmm,
basics are important, right? That the streets getting paved, the trees getting trimmed, the constituent services, all of that is important. But at the same time, that's the bare minimum a council member should be doing.
yeah,
If you're not doing that as a council member, you probably shouldn't be running for office, respectfully, right? Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
literally what you're, a case manager and you're kind of a combo job of being a case manager and a legislator to a certain extent. But the case management is such a big portion,
yeah,
right? People expect you to pick up the phone when you're called and fix an issue within 48 to 72 hours, or at least have some sort of a solution or next steps as to what we're going to do about that. But beyond that, what are we offering people?
mm,
People are struggling with things like high cost of rent,
yeah,
with childcare that has spun out of just completely out of control. your average family right now is paying between 900 to 1400 bucks per month per kid.
That's
I don't have
crazy.
kids, but I can only
No,
imagine that's like,
that's
an
rent in my
additional,
a second rent.
yeah, that's an additional rent, which is insane. And I would like to have kids, right? But looking at the costs of living in this city, what is my option? Is to either, essentially go bankrupt, right? Trying
Yeah.
to raise a family or move out east, which a lot of people end up doing. I have a lot of good friends who either have chosen to live or have moved out to places like Banning, Beaumont, Desert Hot Springs, and
Yep.
further,
Yep.
and that's great, but I want to be able to live in the city that I chose to live in and not, basically, have to be stuck into this terrible cycle of not being able to afford it and making those kind of decisions. You have our senior citizens too in the city that are, looking at much higher costs for things, being pushed out of the last kind of affordable housing options like mobile home parks
Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm.
they continue raising the space rents and the pass-through fees and things like that. So that's a lot of the work that I've been involved in, coming into this role. And I saw an opportunity with the current council member running for state assembly. It's an open seat, and I saw an opportunity to really step up again and say, hey, this is the work that I've been doing consistently in this ward for the last few years. I know this ward, respectfully, as good as anybody, if not better than most people,
Mm-hmm.
just by nature of being involved in this way. I know the dynamic between the university, which is in the district, and the city. I understand the different neighborhood groups, their issues, and all of them are so nuanced issues.
Yeah.
You can have neighborhoods that are split up by less than a mile who have wildly different priorities based on what projects or what issues are affecting them in their area. So that's kind of the landscape for our city. And I mean, I'm a yapper, so please feel free to,
Of
cut me off
course.
if you need to direct me. But that's sort of the dynamic we're looking at for Riverside and sort of the context for the race I'm running in.
Yeah. Yeah, so I appreciate you pointing out that, yeah, because I don't know. I remember Riverside as a kid, like I always would go to the Festival of Lights with my family because, that was about the only time we would go to Riverside. Every other time my
Sure.
parents are LA people and they would take us to LA, right?
Yep.
But so Riverside is something new to me, and I am appreciating it through completely different eyes, through like, not only through my own eyes, but like through talking to different politicians. Like I had the pleasure talking with Luis Hernandez, who just won his primary. Yeah. And
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, he's seems like a great guy and very passionate, very in touch. And I could tell that the issues facing his district, or at least, as he expressed to me, the issues facing his district are very different than many other districts. So
Oh
what
yeah.
what is something specific to your district that you would like to focus on, that your fellow residents in that district want to be taken care of?
Yeah, for sure. So, one of the big things that I've talked about a lot, um, this is a issue that affects obviously the whole city, but our district as well, is just the massive affordability crisis that we're facing, which I talked about briefly just a moment ago. Your median home price is like $650,000.
Yeah.
You're not having young families move into a home like that.
No.
This is not there's no longer a starter home for people to start with, right? You're seeing a proliferation and kind of continued support for building warehouse and logistics centers,
Yeah.
which, this is an industry that's going to be dying off, if not dying off already. A lot of the jobs being replaced by AI. A lot of larger corporations looking to move out in areas where it's cheaper too. They really
Mm.
came here because the cheap land and the cheap labor,
Mm-hmm.
and we had, elected official cohorts essentially that were giving them sweetheart deals,
Mm.
mostly in return for heavy campaign contributions.
Of course.
And residents saw very little of that benefit. Now, in certain cases, I have friends in Hooper Valley and other areas who were able to negotiate much better community benefit agreement packages for their communities, which is awesome. But generally, that's not the case. Generally, it's how do we maximize profit no matter how much it may impact the people living in the community.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why I'm actually the only candidate in my race that officially, took a pledge from the very beginning to not take any corporate PAC money or warehouse developer money.
Wow.
And
Respect.
yeah, no, I feel comfortable with that because I think a lot of I don't know if you know this, but Riverside is actually one of, I think, 12 cities in California that has no campaign finance contribution limits. So if
Wow.
someone tomorrow wanted to give me $100,000 with the express purpose of essentially buying this seat, they could,
Yeah.
or give my opponent
Wow.
X amount of money. It's insane. So we're one of the few cities that don't have any limits. The state of California actually passed, I think, a $5,900 limit, which had encouraged cities to either adopt their own limit.
Mm-hmm.
And Riverside was like, nah, actually, we'll adopt no limit. We're just gonna
Just keep
we're
doing
just gonna
it.
have it be a free for
Oh
all.
my
So
God. That's very
and
concerning.
it's very concerning. And I think we've seen the result of that is that you have a lot of special interest groups essentially buying a seat on the council with an understanding that, hey, you're going to basically vote mostly in line with what I want and approve the projects that I want. So I ran in one of the most expensive primaries in the history of Riverside, because warehouse developers, AI companies, and other special interest groups poured an insane amount of money into this race, in
Wow.
support of my opponent. So I'm happy that we were able to make it in the top two and run such a competitive campaign, being a grassroots funded campaign. We did
Yeah.
mostly small dollar donations. Most of our donations were $99 or under.
That's
We
really
really
good.
made an effort to, yeah. So, like I said, the affordability crisis is one of the big issues. Warehousing logistics, and now I think, as we're seeing, potentially data centers or AI coming down the pipeline as well. We're also, like I mentioned, this has become an issue in the last couple of years. As you've probably seen some of the, I jokingly say, horror stories coming out of the city of Riverside in terms of, just lack of transparency and
Mm,
accountability in local government. These are real problems. We've seen sort of some of it. The council, I think, may have had some real control and jurisdiction over. Some of it was just things that have continued to fester on just on the way that the system's set up.
yeah.
But these are things that need to be addressed in order to restore, trust and transparency in City Hall. And that's something that I've run on from the very beginning, is really strengthening some of our guardrails, making sure they've tried to cut public comment at
Mm.
city council meetings.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. That sounds like
to
the
limit
city
it.
of Fontana.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. We're not quite there, thankfully. And I do want to emphasize that, it's not like skies falling down
Yeah.
situation just yet, but there has been a lot of moves to restrict and limit. And, one of the council members even said, um, you know, city council meetings aren't public meetings, they're business meetings in public. Now, whether or not that's technically like
Is
in the
might be
letter of the
technically
thing
true, but it doesn't
might be
sound good.
technically true, but the type of message that sends to residents is that, hey, listen, we're making our decisions with or without you. If you want to come and shout at council meetings, you can, but we're not interested in hearing from you,
Yeah.
basically. And I don't think that that's a good message to send. And I think a lot of people interpret it that way, whether it was meant to be interpreted that way or not. A lot of people have felt just restricted and removed from the process and felt like, you know what, I'm an afterthought. A lot of these decisions are made before we even make it to chambers,
Yeah.
even though you have 100 people come out ready to give public comment. So these are things that I'm really hoping to tackle, just affordability too, in terms of, where the city can play a role in reducing the cost burden for residents,
Yeah.
avoiding new taxes, fighting against utility rate increases as well, limiting the amount of permitting and other things, other fees that we charge both residents and small businesses just for the pleasure of doing business with the city. I
Yeah.
think that that stifles a lot of the activity, both on just a community level and also on a business development level. We talk so much about, oh, let's make, Riverside is pro-business, business friendly. In the last couple of weeks, in the last month or so, more accurately, you've probably seen like we've had so many community institutions and businesses that have shut down.
Yeah.
Everything from, the substation to now Antone's, which is a,
Mm.
popular sandwich spot, really good Italian food, to most recently Uriel Brewing, which is in my district. And I think that this is an ongoing trend. And unfortunately, we don't have a focus on actually supporting small business in a meaningful way. We've really been focused on attracting these large foreign businesses to the
Mm.
city to invest, which is great, right? We need a balance of everything, but we're missing the forest for the trees, and all of these small businesses that have been here for 30, 40, 50, sometimes 60 years, who have been institutions and also create a sense of place, right? This is not just another McDonald's or
Yeah.
another chain restaurant. This is somewhere that, people have brought their families, have, done their after wedding parties there and brought their kids there, and they have been part of the fabric of the city, and they're dropping off one after another.
Yeah.
I think a city loses its sense of place and um its soul, essentially. Not
Yeah.
to not to
Yeah.
sound far out, right? But really, you're chopping away at the roots of a growing ecosystem. So
Yeah.
that's
That's
something that I've always been very opposed to. I think the more we can do to protect small businesses meaningfully, right, by bringing things like small business grants, or actually one of the things I'm hoping to pilot is actually launching an office of small business for the city of Riverside that can help small businesses navigate some of the issues, the permitting, the fees, try to find cost reductions where we can so that people can continue to feel comfortable not just running their businesses here, but opening their businesses here in the city.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think it's always I think you have more as a business person, you have more investment in the community that you are operating out of when you also live in that community. And
exactly.
some big businesses, sure, they might hire people from the community, and people that operate the businesses are from the community, but they just don't have that same stake. And I think it really goes down to, like you said, the soul, right? You have this soul. And that's what I always love about mom and pop businesses, right? And I'm so happy to hear, like, everyone I've talked to that's running for elected government in Riverside County, Riverside City, all of you have been pro small business, and I think that's great because, again, going back to being a Bernie Sanders supporter, I felt like there was, and probably even still today, we're having to combat that narrative that we are anti-business, anti, just like any of that. And it's like, no, we very much still want businesses, and there's a lot of great, like, it's so sad to hear that some of your favorite was it a Subway shop and a coffee shop closed down. Those are like, to me, those are like two of the most vital small businesses, coffee shops, right? And like
Exactly.
and that's
Exactly.
that's what I want more of. I am going on a crusade against Dutch Bros and Starbucks. Even though I will you will catch me going to Dutch Bros and Starbucks because, I mean, they have good stuff sometimes, but it's like, at the end of the day, I wish, why can't we have, Riverside operated, or, IE operated level of Dutch Bros, or, something like that. And it's just,
Sure.
we have to put in the work. We have to support our neighbors. And
Absolutely.
I think that's great that at least in Riverside, y'all are focused on that. In Ranch Cucamonga, we barely talk to our neighbors, but so
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, I think economic development's a multi-layered and pretty complex thing. It's not something super easy, but I think again, the low-hanging fruit we've been kind of missing and focusing on these kind of um, stuff that looks good on flyers, stuff that looks good in newspapers. And again, we need the big businesses to come and support, but we also need to support what's already existing, what people have poured decades of their life into and their probably their life savings into. And in many cases, I think again, like um yeah, I just generally think that, it's easy to say you're pro small business, right? I think we need a radical shift on the city government level of how we actually support these organizations meaningfully, right? Not
Yeah.
just doing a shop small business Saturday or something like that,
No,
but
but giving them the resources, the information that they
yeah,
need, that sounds like a
I,
great idea from you, Aram, and I respect that. I hope if you do
thank you.
win, I
Yeah,
hope you can put that into place because I really think that
sure.
will change the course of business in America. One of my sorry, I'm hyper fixated on coffee shops right now. One of my favorite coffee shops is Slow Bloom in Redlands because it's a
Oh, hell yeah,
co-op.
yeah.
Because it's a co-op, and they have such a great story. But like, I walk in there, there's not a single person working there that doesn't look happy to be there. And
And that whole story was incredible. I actually was so crazy story. I'm excited for Slow Bloom. They're actually opening up in Riverside
yep,
soon, branch. So I'm very excited for that. But I actually was there when the workers were organizing and rallying at the coffee shop during the pandemic. My friends and I had done like a supply drop off there with some additional like different stuff for the community and saw this kind of whole thing playing out, like basically the inception of that movement to create a coffee cooperative. So it's just incredible to see, they were like, they had their list of demands and stuff at the door, and they were talking to the owners at the time and kind of sharing their grievances. And it's crazy to see that go from basically that small nexus into what it's become, which is a very successful and well loved coffee shop, right?
yeah,
Coffee cooperative.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm very excited for them to come to Riverside and
yeah.
hope to frequent their business when they do.
So I don't want to keep you longer than I scheduled you, but if you have some more time, I'd love to just,
Yeah, please.
whatever I'm trying to think of any other questions I didn't hit you with, but if you want to talk about bring up something, feel free.
Yeah, well, you mentioned wanting to talk about affordable housing, so I'm happy to chat about that
Sure.
more.
Yeah, and I guess
Yeah,
this is just me on my own, I've been struggling with trying to figure out if this is something that's really achievable, right? Um, uh, I don't know if you know Ezra Klein. He came out. I don't think it was earlier this year. I think it was 2025 or something. But affordability. That's kind of been his
yeah,
thing. And his diagnosis of the problem of why we don't have affordable housing is because there's too much red tape in government, right? But then again, I see that the flip side, the red tape is there for a reason, right? We don't want affordable housing to be built in subpar areas. There's been situations like I can think of an example in New York City where they build apartment complexes and some are luxury, but there's like a city ordinance that says some units have to be affordable, but then
sure.
there have like separate entrances for the affordable units, and you have to like go around the back. So
Yeah,
it's just my
like a
own,
second class kind of. Yeah,
which is
it's
terrible.
insane. Yeah,
So again, and this is something I'm uh, super interested in looking at how Mayor Zoran Mamdani would implement, affordable housing, rent freeze, stuff like that.
sure.
Because I don't want to have this conservative mindset, but I'm coming with a conservative mindset that how possible is it that city council members, local city government could really make things better for housing? Now I know that's kind of a big question, so feel free
Yeah.
to
How
answer it.
much time do we have, right? Yeah.
More of a philosophical thing, but I want to get your take on how to tackle affordable housing, how to make it feasible, I
Yeah.
guess.
Great question. And I think, again, I'm glad you sort of set up the context. I mean, this is an issue we're seeing across the country, right? Um, this isn't just localized to Riverside. This isn't even just a California issue. It's pretty much a countrywide problem. of building affordable housing at a rate that matches the demand, and
Yeah.
also finding ways to actually keep it affordable after it's been built. I can say for Riverside, there's a couple of things that I really want to look at. One of them is first starting with sort of the nature of our market, which is, as I mentioned, medium home price about $650,000. Um, a large portion of our city, I don't want to misquote the percentage, but I want to say almost half of our city are renters.
I
So
believe
almost
it.
half the city, yeah, almost half the city rents. And for many people, it's above that 30% kind of standardized cost for them to live in a rental place. So I'm a renter myself, so I understand that firsthand, that issue. And I think it's a couple of things that I want to do. So right now in our city, roughly, give or take, but about 3,000 housing units are owned by private equity or hedge fund companies.
Wow.
Um,
Yikes.
yeah, we just passed a bipartisan, very popular bill through the federal government, the Road to Housing Act, which actually banned private equity home ownership of homes beyond, I believe, 350 homes.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
This is an issue that, especially with how polarized our country is right now and divided, this is an issue that both parties were like, hey, this is something we believe in. So there's something there. Now, yeah, obviously the city government can do very little in terms of disincentivizing ownership in that sense. But what we can do, I think, is first of all, create a registry of which properties are owned by these private equity and hedge fund companies, and then look into doing an assessment on these properties to feed into our local affordable housing trust fund.
Mm.
Because right now, to build affordable housing, part of it is true. Part of it, I think, is just developers not wanting to jump through the extra hoops. But it is difficult to pencil out, in some cases, an affordable housing project. And we need to have the type of incentives to actually make it happen. I do think that, we can look into um, funding this local affordable housing trust fund because right now there's hardly any money there. We used to have something called redevelopment, which by nature of the way it was set up, I believe they were abolished in like 2012. But redevelopment agencies had to spend 15 to 20% of their budget on some form of affordable housing.
Mm.
Now, and that was statutory. Now we don't have anything like that on the books. So the city constantly is looking for a developer to shoulder the costs. And in a lot of cases, the developer's like, I'm good. I'd rather build market rate, luxury, whatever else. So that's one of the things is creating some actual incentives for people to build. The second thing is really prioritizing the areas that we've already set aside for building affordable housing. So I don't know how familiar you are with Riverside, but um, UCR is connected to the downtown area with University Avenue.
Yeah.
University Avenue used to be this thriving kind of street, a lot of small businesses, a lot of kind of cultural institutions, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Businesses that people still on Facebook are like, oh, when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, this was the spot. And they looked super awesome, right? And this largely was because we had the auto speedway off of the like where the mall is now on
Yeah.
the Moreno
Yeah.
Valley side
Yeah.
almost,
Yeah.
which a lot of people would then drive down and frequent the businesses on University Avenue. When the auto speedway obviously shut down, that affected the businesses there. And I think we never fully bounced back. So now when you drive down University Avenue, you're not seeing this vital artery that connects, world-class educational institution to the downtown core. You see a street that is in most cases pretty blighted,
Mm.
not full of businesses. Some of the areas are just completely like burned down. Some of the businesses have burned down just due to,
Wow.
different arson things and unsheltered folks who were like lighting fires to stay warm and it burned. I mean, just a lot of different trash, debris all over the kind of University Avenue. It has been improving. The current council member, I think, has done some things to bring that back. I know the other council member on the other side of the ward also is doing a few things, but it still has not hit the full stride that it can. But one of the things that we do have is 20 years ago, we developed something called the University Avenue Specific Plan, which is a plan, for lack of a better word, specifically for University Avenue, that dictated growth and development along that street. One of the things that we did was that we zoned that street, which is already close to a lot of transit, not super close to like your classic kind of residential single family homes, so less of an impact, and close to quite a few businesses that are within walking distance. We zoned it R4, which is high density multifamily housing. So we can actually right now, if we edited the University Avenue specific plan, we can actually tomorrow start looking at ways to bring this affordable housing along University Avenue and not necessarily shoehorn it into a single family neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. I get that end of things too. If you bought a home, single family, quiet neighborhood, you don't want an apartment complex going up next door
Yeah.
suddenly out of nowhere. But we got to build the housing somewhere, right? The housing has to be built because people in this city can't afford to have a home. We're not even talking about folks moving from LA or OC, the transplants, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about people in our own city, our neighbors who are unable to afford a home. So that is going to be a huge priority for me is kind of unlocking the plots of land that we can build this housing on along University Avenue, removing as many restrictions to build as possible, cutting the red tape, offering incentives to developers to build along there, and
Mm-hmm.
ensuring that a bulk of that housing is affordable in a real sense, not
Yeah.
just, I feel like that's become such a buzzword, right?
Yeah.
But affordable in terms of as compared to median income for the area.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's going to be a huge priority. I also think just generally, I don't know if you know about the University Avenue Quality Inn project.
No,
Have you heard
go
about
ahead.
that?
Please tell me about it.
So we had, long story, I don't want to take too much time, but long story short, it's basically we applied for a grant as a city over a year and a half ago to build permanent supportive housing for unsheltered folks along University Avenue. It was going to the project itself. The way it works is that you find an existing like motel, hotels, somewhat similar, and you transform it or refurbish it into actual housing for people.
Yeah.
So we were one of 5 projects selected in the entire state of California to convert the Quality Inn on University Avenue, which I don't know if you've been there
No.
anytime recently. It's terrible. It's in a
I'll have to
really
go
bad
check it out,
shape.
I think.
Yeah, go during the daytime. It's a little sketchy at night, but it's one of those places that, unfortunately, center a lot of crime, drug use, open air
Yeah.
drug use, things like that. A lot of police response calls there. I think over 100 in like a 3 or 6 month period. Don't quote me on that, but quite a lot in a very short amount of time. And this was an area that is not only negatively impacting the surrounding community, but also just a waste of a space.
Yeah.
So there was an opportunity for us to convert that, and the state of California selected us as one of the project recipients, grant recipients, and we were set to receive $20.1 million in order to refurbish that and turn it into permanent supportive housing with case managers on site,
Yeah.
security, all of the it was as good of a project as you could probably get currently in the state of California. And after a year of working on it and kind of going through the initial council processes, the day we were set to basically accept the grant and move forward with the project, we had 4 council members that voted no to the project. This
Why
would have
would they
housed
vote no? Okay, but yeah, neither here nor
There,
there.
yeah, this would have housed 100 people. And again, a lot of people I think have brought up valid complaints, right? Like, oh, would this impact this or that or the third? What about this? What about that? Concerns about, crime spilling out or this and that.
Yeah.
Mostly because they haven't seen the site currently. It's not like we're not taking some kind of a quiet suburban home and changing it into a 100 unit. It's a it's an area that has been plagued with crime, drugs, violence, things like that. So this would have been a massive improvement. The project would have prioritized, obviously, you can't discriminate on who you bring into the facility, but it would have prioritized veterans, senior citizens, folks with disabilities. And instead of accepting the money, I think, and then layering other services on top of that, whatever the gaps were that folks saw,
Mm-hmm.
our council members saw fit to basically vote this project down in its entirety.
I see.
With that, obviously we said no, first of all, to $20 million, which doesn't just lay around for us to pick up every other week.
Yeah.
We sent a message to the state of California that, hey, the city of Riverside doesn't have its stuff together.
Yeah.
Forget about even sending the message that we're potentially anti-housing. We're telling the state, hey, we dragged it out for a year and a half and then basically told you, we're good for something we applied for.
Yeah.
We also opened ourselves up to significant liability. There are some potential lawsuits that come out of this as well. And we opened ourselves up to a civil rights investigation through the state of California
Oh my goodness.
because of the way that the elected officials potentially discussed the project. You know,
Behind closed
I don't know
doors,
what
maybe.
the investigation will
Yeah.
eventually come to. I don't want to speculate on the final outcome, but from my understanding, the way that it was discussed did not follow traditional guidelines either for how it should or should not be discussed. And in the process, we also managed to demonize these council members managed to demonize people who are, either facing poverty or dealing with mental health or substance abuse issues. And the worst part, Angelina, to me, is that no alternative was presented. There wasn't
Yeah.
a situation where they're like, hey, we're going to say no to this. I know it's painful, but instead, here's our 5-10 point plan to address homelessness instead.
It was
Here's
just
our, yeah,
solid
here's our
no.
two other or three other
Jeez.
options instead.
Yeah.
I think that that was a major miss. And again, in my race, I was the only candidate that took a strong stance, really in support of that project, because I saw the benefits that it could have.
Yeah.
And I think the negative externalities, whatever they may or may not have been, would have been far outweighed by the positive benefits and the first step that we could have taken as a city to really get basically a sixth of our existing counted homeless population off of the streets.
Yeah.
That would have been huge. Now, again, I'm not claiming it's a perfect project. I'm positive we would have had some growing pains around that project as well. But if you've been in Riverside in the last few years, we have growing pains anyways. We have the river bottom constantly burning from fires that are happening there. We have, really some terrible situations happening along Magnolia where, folks are harming themselves and also harming the community through, being unsheltered, being homeless, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's this kind of a lose-lose situation. And unfortunately, instead of coming up with solutions and taking a risk, and potentially expending some political capital, I think the four council members chose the easy way out, right? To say
Mm.
that, hey, this is going to cause a lot of issues. Homeless people are yada yada yada, and we're not going to spend taxpayer money, whatever the excuses were. Now,
Yeah.
the last thing I want to mention is that I believe there was significant influence from a
Mm.
large business along University Avenue that may or may not have interfered in a significant way in the decision making of these council members. Now, there have been emails released of the discussions kind of behind the scenes. There has been documented contributions made from this business to the council members who voted no within a
Mm-hmm.
couple of weeks of that vote happening. I don't want to say that that's I can only speak on what I know
Yeah.
fully, but I do believe that that played a significant role because the initial vote didn't even come with a lot of the reasons that they mentioned when the community had this insane backlash. And it was unbelievable the backlash that the community had in saying, like, how can we say no to this?
Yeah.
Like, how do you turn down 20 million and then talk about homelessness being a problem?
Yeah.
And you basically leave a good project that could have been, could have started the process of really getting a lot of these folks off the streets. How do you leave that on the table and walk away?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the reality we're facing. We're facing it, I'm running against a council, essentially running not against a council, but running against an opponent and backed by a council essentially that has made these decisions and have said that this is the best way forward for Riverside. And I just disagree with that. I disagree with that entirely. So I think we can offer people a better future, a more affordable future for our city. I think people want that inherently. The reason so many residents' voices have been drowned out is because you have this insane influx of corporate money into our local politics. And it's gotten worse year after year after year.
Yeah.
So, campaign finance reform, as you can probably tell from my conversation, is also a major priority for me. I'm committed to that as one of my big things getting into office is to really push for campaign finance limits in the city and really restructuring how we do our elections in terms of making them more accessible to more people, making them cost less. You know, you
Yeah.
shouldn't have to raise $100,000 or $150,000 to run for a city council seat.
Yeah.
That's just nuts.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'll get off my soapbox here, but
No, no,
to
I
your point on
appreciate
affordable
that.
housing, yeah.
Yeah, no, that I can get behind all of that, especially the campaign finance reform. I had no idea that that was going on in the city of Riverside, so I'm gonna have to look into that later on. But yeah, it sounds like you're running a great campaign, Aram. I really appreciate you taking your time to come on stream to make the time to talk with me. I'm gonna let you go now, but before I do that, any final words, any final shout outs, anything, the mic is yours for the next few minutes.
Thank you so much, Angelina. I appreciate the opportunity. It took us a while to connect, but we had to take a small break after the election cycle because we ended up knocking a little over 10,000 doors during our primary cycle. I knocked on a little over 2,000 myself, so we spent a lot of time talking to neighbors and hearing these issues firsthand, right? This is not just something I sat back and came up with. These are the issues that neighbors have brought up to us at almost every door we've been at. But just wanted to shout out really quickly my team. Again, I think people see campaigns as like the candidate and pretty much nothing else, but a candidate is nothing without their campaign team. I'm sure any of
100%.
the other
Yeah.
people running would tell you the same thing. My team has been phenomenal. I won't list all the names because that would take too long, but they've just been, you know, with me throughout this whole process, just determined to win. And we've pulled in so many groups that have been left out of the process by the city, who have felt ignored, who have felt kind of punted to the side, and who want to see change, meaningful change in the city of Riverside. So, yeah, other than that, election is November 3rd. I'm grateful to have the endorsement of so many incredible people too. Everyone from state level folks, State Senator Sabrina Cervantes, Clarissa Cervantes, her sister who's on the Riverside City Council, Jose Medina. I'm endorsed, also the only candidate in this race endorsed by the local and state Democratic Party as well, the Working Families Party, a lot of other environmental justice and community groups here in the city who have been doing the work, who see kind of my values and my involvement on that as well.
Yeah.
And you know, however the results are, I'm honored to be able to run a campaign that has stuck to our principles, stuck to our values, and has offered, I think, hopefully a vision of how Riverside could be, right?
Yeah.
A vision of Riverside, a future that we can actually afford here in the city of Riverside. So
Yeah.
appreciate the opportunity again to talk to you. Thanks so much for having me on.
No, of
I did have
course.
a question for you. I saw
Yeah,
the
sure.
is that the Filipino flag in the back with the sun?
Oh, no, no, no. It's I'm Argentinian. It's the Argentinian
Oh,
flag.
Argentina. Oh, very cool.
I know, I
Yeah, it kind of
know.
looks.
We
I saw the bottom half of it, so I couldn't tell, but very
So
cool.
yeah, I got the Argentinian flag and then a pride flag right next to it. This is my closet and that's my curtains. So that way when I
Very
change
cool.
here, no one sees me. Yeah. Oh
There
my
you
god.
go. I
Yeah.
did want to shout out really quickly a couple of other awesome young people running.
Sure, go
This is
for it.
actually the year of the young person running for office,
Hey,
so
if you shout
I
them
hope you
out,
can have them.
they better come on the stream then.
Oh, I'll tag them myself. I'll tag them myself. But really want to shout out a couple of folks. I think you may have already had her on, Joss Sita
Oh
running
yeah.
in Fontana. Also Nubia Diaz, would highly recommend. She's also running in Fontana. She's on a slate working with Jaws.
Yeah.
Edgar Castellan in Harupa Valley.
Yes.
Great guy, good friend of mine, has been an incredible support for the campaign. Would recommend talking to him. My friends Chris Castorena and Marco Santana running in Banning.
Banning. Okay. We need to get some Banning
Yeah,
representation on here. So thank you.
absolutely. Yeah. Justin Jackson, that guy's a great conversationalist. So you would love having him on.
Yeah.
He's running in Moreno Valley for school board. And then a few other folks as well. A couple of Moreno Valley folks, Nathan Urena,
Oh yeah,
definitely
that's
worth
my boy
talking
right
to.
there. Me and Nathan, we
Oh,
graduated together at CSUSB.
oh,
So
awesome. I love that guy.
yeah.
So, yeah, so I'm trying to think. I know they're gonna give me so much crap if I forget to mention someone, but definitely check some of those folks out. They're also young people, many of them also running on platforms of affordability, of getting corporate money out of politics.
Yeah.
We really have an opportunity, I think, this groundswell, and this movement in the Inland Empire to shift things, right? To really recalibrate how we look at politics locally. We don't have
Yeah.
to have these little fiefdoms that are dominated by people who have been there for decades and have forgotten, right, why they ran in the first place. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I hope you can have some of them on the call as
Yeah.
well.
No, thank
They're
you,
they're great.
Aram. Hopefully we can have you back in the future. Maybe after the election. We'll see. We'll wish the best for you. Um, but yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. I really
Awesome.
appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank
Peace
you,
out.
Angelina. Appreciate you.
Take care. Have a good one. All right, everyone. That was Aram Ayra for Riverside City Council Ward number 2. Really good conversation. Really good conversation. I was not expecting to have as good as a conversation as we did. Aram seems like a great guy. Being in politics, of course, I'm going to be biased because he's a political science major, so you already know that gets bonus points for me. But yeah, it seems like a person who knows about politics, understands politics, and wants to make some moves. Wants to make some moves in benefit of the people. In politics, and I can respect that. So yeah. Yep. Thank you again, Aram Ira, for coming on the stream. That was a really good conversation. Um, yeah. Some people in chat, thank you for commenting. I really appreciate you commenting. We will bring up all of these. I will look into these questions on my own time. And if we have Aram back on, we can totally address it. I just wanted to give him a fair time that I gave to his opponent, Gracie Torres. And there was no one in chat. No, there was no one in chat while I had Gracie on stream asking questions. So I appreciate you, whoever you are, SGKR, for talking in the chat. Be sure to like this video if you have not liked the video already. It helps me out, helps out the community, helps make my channel more legitimate, so that way great people like Aram Ira actually come on. I forgot to tell him that when he mentioned the Working Families Party. Again, I was making big moves at Riverside Pride, right? The Working Families Party had a booth there, and they had of course I had to go because they had a cutout of Zoran Mamdani. So I got a picture with Zoran Mamdani. Here, I'll pull it up right now. I will pull that up right now. I have the receipts. And I think the person working the booth said that Aram was going to be there, and I was like, "Oh hell yeah. Can you tell him I've been trying to get him on the stream?" So I'm glad it finally happened. But it just really genuinely seems like a lot of these candidates, they are like, I was gonna say overworked and underpaid, but I don't think they get paid to do this. But yeah. Hold on, I'm pulling up the picture. Okay, hold on. Let's search by location. There we go. There we go. Okay, hold on. There you go. There's me and the cutout of Zoran Mamdani at the Working Families Party booth at Riverside Pride. uh, yeah. So, okay, let me go take a quick little break, grab some fluids, use the restroom, and then we will get back to the stream. As GKR said, he doesn't need to get paid, rich boy doing and saying whatever he feels good. That's true. That's true, but let me push back a little bit if you I'm going to push back. There's a lot of rich people that do good things, and one of those people is Hassan Piker. So I'm not gonna write off people just because they're wealthy or they're not. Clearly, Aram is not a capitalist, right? He is no multinational corporate capitalist. Homie doesn't even own his own home. I'm sorry to say. Samantha, thank you, Samantha, for joining in the chat. I appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, Samantha. Um, so yeah, I just want to give Aram Ira the benefit of the doubt, give him the respect that I gave Gracie Torres. Samantha said Hassan Piker has been straight with everything. Yeah, like straight in a good way. Yeah, I know. So yeah, Hassan Piker, wealthy guy. He owns a $5 billion, million, 100 billion home in Hollywood, and he's been going out there and doing the good work. He's been a class trader. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, if you're running for politics like this, you're working class, brother. You're working class, and I'm working class. We're part of the same class. So Samantha, I would urge you to reconsider what is rich and what is not rich. Aram asked all those corporate donors, council people, and police for support, and when he didn't get it, he was suddenly a grassroots candidate. Interesting. Well, he's running a grassroots campaign, I think. We'll see how it goes. All right, let me pull up a quick video to watch while I go to the restroom. Oh wow, Jay Olbernulty posted something. But no, we're gonna steal content from Hassan Piker. Oh, see, he went door knocking. We cannot watch Hassan Piker go door knocking because I promised Tessa Lynn Hodge I would go door knocking with her. I promised Nathan Urenia I would go door knocking with him. And if we just watch another streamer go door knocking, it's gonna make me look bad as a streamer. Here we go. Let's watch this. Bill Maher. All right, I'll be right back, chat. Oh my god, this is not going. There we go. Okay.
Of course. Bill Maher once again positioning himself as like
I'll be
eventually
right back,
leaving
chat.
the left. He's going to do the why I left the left shit. He's just, getting ready for it. He's trying to get everybody ready for it. Like this is going to be a big surprise when it happens. Left the Democrat Party from Bill Maher.
And finally, new rule: Donald Trump has told 1 trillion lies, but when he says the Democratic Socialists of America are actually communist, that's not one of them. And it's not hard to prove it just by quoting the DSA and their candidates. It gives me no pleasure to have to do this. I'd much rather keep going the good vibes from.
This is so good. Look, I'm gonna keep it $1.50 with you, okay? For all the DSA cadres in here, for all the DSA folks in here, take one thing from me, okay? What do I always say? Whenever people ask me this, I always say, look, I don't self-describe as a communist, but I have no issue with the moniker. This is your opportunity to also do the same. And if you're a communist, even better. But if you're not, and you're like worried, oh no, they're calling us commies, they're calling us communists. They call everybody communist. Okay? The Republicans call everybody communist. They call Nancy Pelosi a communist. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? It's no longer the Cold War. Okay? It's no longer the Cold War. The dynamic is changing a lot. So this is your moment, your opportunity to not back down from these sorts of statements. Do not fall for it. Double down. Double down. Be like, what's wrong? What's wrong? That's a decent end goal. I think so.
My summer vacation. I had an awesome one, by the way. I totally got a girlfriend at Bible camp. However, right before we left, Vice President J.D. Vance was on the show, and I told him that if the Democratic Party keeps going in the direction of the DSA, my vote was in play. And all I heard all vacation.
Oh my God. Oh, my vote is in play. Well, what will we do without Bill Maher? Oh no. For every Bill Maher vote we lose, we will gain 1 million, okay? Bill Maher and his attitude, and I mean this sincerely, like Bill Maher and his attitude and the way he carries himself is exactly what is wrong with the way people perceive the National Democratic Party, okay? 1,000,000%. Smug, entitled, elitist, know-it-all arrogance. It is so repulsive. Bill Maher is the poster boy for the Democratic Party's failures thus far. I personally welcome his hatred. I personally welcome his exit from the Democratic Party. Think about it. If you were thinking about not just the Democrats of the old days, right? But if you were thinking about this party, this national party as a brand, as a vessel for change, okay, who do you think is better suited to be the face of the party? Zoran Mamdani or Bill Maher? I think we know. I think we have an answer for that. What would be a better party overall if the Democrats leaned into the Democratic Socialists of America or leaned into Bill Maher? Yeah, with his nauseating smugness.
Was, oh my God, you're a Republican now. No, that's not what I said. I said in play. And here's why. Because not a week goes by where I don't read about some newly chosen, exciting new face in the Democratic Party. And then when that...
Like, look at these faces. These faces are awesome. These are incredible people. They're all young. They're vibrant. There's so much dynamism on our side. It is so crazy. Of course, this asshole who's wrong all the time and a smug conservative reactionary piece of shit is going to despise where the base has moved and where the excitement really is in American politics right now for the first time in a very long time.
Face opens its mouth, the Communist Manifesto or some other crazy shit comes out. Again, let's just read the quotes. The DSA platform says you work as much as you are able and no more than needed. If that was any closer to Karl Marx's dictum, from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs, they'd be sued for plagiarism.
I mean, that is literally, yeah. Dude, this is so funny because he's like, wow, guys, let me tell you how shocking this is. These socialists are socialists. Yeah, no shit, you idiot. What are you talking about? Wow. Guys, hold on. I've learned something very fascinating about this Democratic Socialists of America movement. They really like this Karl Marx guy. What? No. Are you serious? What are you, crazy? What? What a revelation. What? What's next, dude?
Not to leave any doubt, New York Mayor Mamdani once tweeted Karl Marx's words exactly. They're not trying.
No. You mean to tell me Zoran Mamdani is a socialist? What? Guys. I'm panicking. This is not all right. This is not all right that the guy who calls himself a Democratic socialist.
Chat. I lied. I said I was going to be back and we were going to continue streaming, but I have other responsibilities I need to get to, so I won't be able to continue covering all the stories that I wanted to. But I'm glad we got to do the interview with Aram Ayra. It was really good. So let's just leave it like at here today, and we will continue later this week. Here, let's not listen to yeah, why not? Listen to Splatoon music on the way out. Hopefully I don't get copyright. Nah, maybe not. Okay. All right. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining me today. I had a great time. I hope you did. I'm sure you did. Don't forget to hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to catch more content like this. I have a lot more, really a lot more interviews lined up. And I've been doing, like I always say, I've been doing a lot of work offline, going out there, contacting people, filming stuff offline as well. So, you know, be sure to subscribe to not miss any of those videos I will be dropping. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining me today. It has been a pleasure. My name is Angelina Tucci. Thank you for joining me for Inland Empire Political News. And again, big shout out to guest Aram Ayra for joining us for a fantastic interview today. All right, peace out everyone. Have a good one, and I will see you later this week.